Hello everybody and happy Tuesday. Now I don't normally make videos on Tuesday, but Morgan Page of Morgan Page Loves posted a video on the Talk channel about the importance of university, and I am making a video response. Now, in the spirit of the Talk channel, I need to go find a mug, so in the meantime, click anywhere on the screen and you can go ahead and watch that video.
Where university is when school becomes more or less optional, depending on who you're listening to. Society and parents may have been telling you that you need to go and get a university education and degree if you want to go on living a happy life and get the job that you would like, but that's not necessarily true. Not long ago, meaning...
For the record, my little brother decorated this mug and he does not have a college education, so whether that's an argument for or against, I'll let you decide. So in the video, Morgan talks about the growing tech sector and how there are going to be way more jobs in that field than there are going to be people with degrees, so perhaps it is not worthwhile going to college. And I feel like I have a bit of a unique perspective on this because I went to college until I was 21 or so, and then I left to work in the tech sector. And she's very right that the or equivalent experience is becoming ever more prevalent on job application requirements, but there are two big problems in the tech sector that make education a little bit tricky. The first, and you'll forgive me if I can't remember if I'm stealing from Seth Godin or Ken Robinson, but either way you should watch both of their videos because they're way more versed in this subject than I am, is that if there is something that we can automate, we will, and what we cannot automate, we will outsource. And what this means is we have an increased need for creative professionals as opposed to people who are able to do the same thing very well day in and day out. And the second problem, especially in tech, is that by the time you have mastered something, within 2 years it is going to be obsolete and you are going to have to learn something entirely new. Now it could be that I'm being naive about this, but what this indicates to me is that education is more important than ever before, and we have to have a knowledge of an increasingly broad variety of subjects, so college seems like a genius idea. But of course, if that's the case, why is undergraduate employment so high? And to answer that, I think we need to look at what schools are designed to do in the first place. If, again, to steal from Seth Godin and Ken Robinson, the schools were designed with the Industrial Revolution in mind. It was very important that you were able to follow instructions and fill out forms and be like everybody else, namely buy a lot of stuff. And while college used to be a step beyond that, the level of educational inflation has made it such that that's basically what we do in college. We learn to go and be drunk frat boys with all of the other drunk frat boys, and we learn to fill out tests. Now I'm sure there are exceptions, but at least in my case I got very little from my actual coursework. In fact, a lot of it was simply teaching to the textbook, which I could have bought for a lot less than the cost of tuition. But at the same time, even though I'm no longer in school, I still feel the need to continue to study and keep my skills up, particularly now that I have a job that I have to maintain. Now Morgan is very right to point out that information is much more accessible now, and we have a lot of alternatives to a college education. We have Wikipedia for one. There are colleges with lots of open courseware, and Crash Course teaches you far more than you would learn in a lecture class at 8 in the morning. But the unfortunate thing is that we tend to only find the answers to the questions that we ask. The benefit of universities is that they have structured programs and liberal arts requirements and blah blah blah, so you have to take classes and study things that you may have no idea that you're absolutely fascinated by. College may not be worth your time, but education is more important than it has ever been, and I think what we have to ask ourselves is if we choose not to avail ourselves of a university education, what are we going to be doing with that saved time and money? Are we going to be going out and exploring the world and learning things firsthand? Or are we going to be reading a whole bunch of books and Wikipedia articles and studying a whole bunch of subjects? Or are we going to be sitting on our couch and eating Cheetos? If it's the latter, it may be worth devoting some time and money into a college education, because if you don't, you may not be able to do the things that you want to do. Bottom line, you're going to need an education. As to whether or not that involves a university, I think that's something we all have to personally decide for ourselves. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and I'll see you on Wednesday.